Behind the Shades.
My name is Bayonle Arashi. I am a Nigerian immigrant. I came to the United States early 2015, February 2015 to be precise. I came hoping to have a better life, just like many other immigrants in the past. I'm the first generation immigrant from my own family. I'm a leadership coach. Leadership is a very personal subject. But before I move into leadership coaching, I'm a broadcaster. I've been in broadcasting since 1999 after my technical college education in Nigeria. I work with two of the biggest broadcast channels in Nigeria, and I covered a couple of Africa Cup of Nations as a sports broadcaster because sport was my personal area of focus. I cover live soccer events. We call it football, but Americans love to call it soccer. That's my training. And also, I'm an entrepreneur. I started a soccer academy called Midas Football Academy in 2008. After traveling across the world and Africa, I've been very fortunate to be discovered and been mentored by people that were able to discover me and that were able to pour into my life. And I'm hoping that because those people poured into my life, I can also pay it forward by pouring into other young men as well. Since I've been in the United States, and I couldn't find broadcasting job because, excuse me, I could not probably have more education because I saw that the system, how it plays here, that for you to get more education, you either have to pick out a loan. I'm not a fan of that. So I choose a different path. I did some odd jobs when I came in, Amazon, FedEx, name them. And finally, I found myself in criminal justice system and work in the criminal justice over the almost for 7 years now. Also, I do soccer refereeing as a way for me to get into the sport I'm very passionate about. Just doing a freelancing, helping young guys to mentor them on the soccer field and make them a better person. And my work in the criminal justice further confirm my own purpose that, okay, this is what I'm meant for, to be able to mentor other younger people. And that was what inspired me to start developing my leadership skills, reading a lot of books, talking to a lot of mentors, meeting mentors through their work. Dr. Miles Monroe is one of my biggest influence. Jim Rohn is one of them, Tony Robbins, Dr. Leslie Brown. These are people that I learned from their work. I've met them physically, a couple of them. Unfortunately, I didn't meet Dr. Miles Monroe before he passed. And these people inspire my work. I am available on all social media platforms. My name, Bayonle Arashi, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, name them. And that's the little about me.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing, because I want to make sure that everyone knows where to reach you, where to find you, because this conversation, as I mentioned, is very important. So let's get right into it. And what I want to ask you, because I'm a person that grew up without my mother and my father, and I was raised by my grandmother. So I understand how difficult, how painful it can be not having your parents around. So we're going to speak about fatherlessness and why that is so rampant, more so maybe in some communities versus others. So what is the genesis of the work that you do when it comes to trying to bring awareness to what is going on with fathers who may not be in the household for a number of reasons?
Absolutely. Before I came into the States, I never thought of it as a big issue, even though I've always seen some traits of it in the way some people behave, some young men, the way they react in terms of their level of emotional intelligence. And of course, as an entrepreneur who has a soccer academy, and I have a lot of young teenage boys coming to the academy to train and develop, and some of them, the way they behave. But when I started my job, my work in the criminal justice system, it was a big eye-opener. America is a big country. The state of Texas in itself, in terms of land mass, is bigger than the entire country that I come from, Nigeria, in terms of land mass. So that was a big exposure for me. And when I started doing my work, I told myself I wanted to be more than a correctional officer. I wanted to be more than a prison guard, as they call us. So I started studying the pattern because as someone that is coming from a different profession as a broadcaster and now working in the criminal justice system, it's a totally opposite experience for me. So I started studying that what is all of this about? Seeing men more or less in a cage. That's the way I see them. And some of them can't seem to get out of it. Some of them keep repeating the pattern. An average inmate in the state of Texas, I can talk about that because I work in that system, does not realize how bad he is going until at least they are reincarcerated for minimum 3 times. So the rate of recidivism is very high. Most of them start having a better understanding and start asking the questions after they come back like 3-4 times. And most of the time, I also observe after their 40th birthday, when you see an immigrant in their 40s, an inmate in their 40s, you start hearing a different experience from them. Some of them have started doing time since when they were 16, 17, and that was what drove my curiosity. And I kept asking myself and the inmates, what happened? And I observed that many of them, at least out of 20, maybe one ever grew up with a father. So that is what I think is the big issue that we have, especially in America. I can talk about America and Texas because that's where I work. That's my understanding. That's what I have seen firsthand, and also through books I've read as well. Some of the mentors I've had in the past, I've also noticed that they mention them that the system does not give any kind of support, any kind of protection to the male men in America. Again, I said America because I live here and I work there, because just imagine all it takes for you to probably be locked up is for somebody to accuse you of a particular thing that might not be proved immediately, but you're going to be arrested and you're going to be put in jail. And only when you are able to prove your innocence is when you're able to make it out. But most of the time, you are not able to prove that innocence. So how can we stop this pattern? How can we stop this issue? It is by teaching men how to find their purpose early in life, how to channel that youthful energy that every young boys have into something that will most likely transcend into something that can better their life. Go into sports, learn a trade, learn a vocation. And that's what my work has been all about. Going to elementary, middle, and high school, talking to young boys and girls and letting them know the importance of finding their purpose early in life, and why, if you are born here as an American, I wasn't born here. I know how long it took me to be able to come out, to be able to say, I want to work. So if you are born here with all that advantage, you should not make a mess of that.
And I'm going to piggyback on that and say that what I look for, if I'm talking about men and women in the household, is you want the support from the woman when you're raising your kids, and you want the strength from the man when you're raising your kids. And you want to divide that and say, hey, I can go to one person because they have this in abundance. I can go to the other person because they have this in abundance. But when you have one of that dynamic out of the household, there's an imbalance. And now you're asking someone to do everything, and single mothers and single fathers do a good job. But if you base it on the rates of those who are incarcerated, you begin to see a different picture. As you mentioned, you start to see that, hey, many of these inmates, they don't have one of the parents in the house. And in many cases, they don't have the father in the house where they can pull from that strength. And one thing I like to touch on when I have these types of conversations, it shows you the importance of having two people who are present. And by present, I don't mean that they're both in the household and they're not taking care of the kid. You want to be physically there, but you have to also be emotionally there,
yes, sir.
Spiritually there, verbally there, and mentally there.
Yeah.